What's happening, people? It's your boy Killer Cam coming at you. We got Ace in the place. How you doing, baby?
Hey, I'm doing all right, man. How you doing?
Coolin', man. Just living it up. Also, we got Heated to Completed. How you doing, Big Cat?
Doing all right, man. Ready to get it started.
It's always good to hear. All right, I just want to start out and ask you, fellas. You guys, I'm sure you've heard about the impending government shutdown and how that got stopped. But did you hear who got sacrificed in the process of doing it?
Your boy Kevin, I heard.
Yeah, Bakerfield's loser, Kevin McCarthy, first man in, I believe, 100 years to be ousted from the House Speaker seat. And mind you, we've had all kinds of weirdos, freaks, degenerates, and strangers in that seat. Remember that one wrestling coach who was also a sex offender at the same time? Longest House Speaker, I believe, in history.
Oh, you got to refresh my memory. Who was it?
I don't remember his name exactly. I know it's not Starmer, but I know that man was holding the chair for a long time. Point is Kevin is the first one, I believe, since people were using black powder pistols, and Charlie Chaplin was on TV to get ousted.
I would say it's since the 1700s for sure. I mean,
and the reason they did it was absolutely pathetic. The Republicans and the Democrats, the people in the House, Congress, whatever it is, when they're trying to do the federal budgeting thing, they always do this political theater. They always put on they're going to shut it down and we're going to do this and that and all this, and these concessions have to be made. When in truth, we all know it's just them trying to take money away from the EPA or whatever it is that keeps us from dying or something like that, so they can get better profit margins on their businesses. They can mistreat their workers better. It's really just like just their slim majority throwing a temper tantrum. And in the process of doing that, they forced Kevin's hand. He had to work with the Democrats in order to keep it from shutting down, and then they ended up ousting the man, humiliating him.
Well, I mean, part of McCarthy getting the position in the first place after 14 failed votes was him agreeing to only have a simple majority of Congress be able to vote him out. Mm-hmm. That was the slim majority that the Republicans had. That just fosters that far right wing to hamstring everything. I mean, that's the problem you run into when you have a slim majority. It's like the minority has all the power. And the ironic part about it is the minority voted with Democrats to oust the speaker when they was voting him out.
That's because he backstabbed him though.
Well, did he really? I mean, I think he didn't stick up for Matt Gaetz in his investigation for trafficking minors. I mean, Matt Gaetz' friend, a fellow from down in Florida, is in jail right now for that, and he had everybody come out to defend him. I think McCarthy was one of the only ones that didn't come to defend him for it. He's under investigation with the FBI.
Yeah, he wanted to give him a pass. Mm-hmm. Didn't he go on the floor with pictures and stuff like that, though?
I'm not.
Amazing pictures. I think.
Oh yeah, they had the Venmo of him giving $700 to the people he was allegedly trafficking. I think when the trial comes around, when the FBI concludes their investigation and we really see what he was up to, it'd be very telling of his character and what he was doing. But I really think what people are saying that this is in retaliation of that.
Wait. Ousting McCarthy is in retaliation to the investigation?
That's why, why Gaetz is spearheading it, because I believe Trump gave him a little word of pardon. He had everybody pretty much come out to give him a little word of pardon, or try to keep him from doing forming an investigatory committee into his use of campaign funds and the things he was doing with his buddies.
Well, that's what 70% of the Congress, man. All these people, everybody's being investigated. I think that what happened to him was, he wanted to take a stance. I mean, if McCarthy wouldn't have put that provision in where one person can, have that much power, it would have never happened. So,
yeah,
my thought process is, why would he even do that?
But he wouldn't have gotten a job if he didn't agree to that. Them Republicans was willing to sit there for vote after vote after vote.
So he had no intentions of staying there. Then.
He had to have known that he was just trying to get that job for a little bit of time. Agreeing to all the dumb stuff he did, he had to have known that he wasn't going to last long. Especially them trying to force him to go back on the deal that he already made with that bipartisan deal he already had. Once he was forced to go back on that, he knew that his time was short. I mean, he was trying to threaten him, oh yeah, come on, go ahead and vote me out.
So okay. He didn't care about being embarrassed, did he?
No.
Being the worst Speaker of the House.
You say that, but I mean, from the long drawn out speech that he gave yesterday is starting back from his high school and childhood all the way up till now. It was pathetic in my opinion. We'll talk about that later in the show, but I will say now the person I was sitting with ended up looking at their phone midway through it, and this is a historical event. He just didn't have the chops for it. I guess he was House Speaker for a reason. You know, he could. I mean, not even. He couldn't even get, like, rally his party, get them behind each other, get them together. Pelosi could whip people into shape. I'm not going to call him what I want to call him, but Chuck Schumer can't do anything. You know, Pelosi knows what she's doing in there. She might be old, but she knows how to whip her base into shape.
That's what I was going to say. People can disagree with Pelosi all they want to, but Democrats still fall in line. You know.
Yeah, they fell in line in the hopes of keeping the government open and, looking like they're doing the job of the people. But how much have Pelosi given up in, with working with the Republicans?
I can't say she's giving that many concessions. I think when they need to get something done, they always have a rotating villain like Manchin and Sinema. You can't, like, stop those two from ruining. There's always going to be a spoiler, though, because everybody's taking money from Big Pharma. Those are just the two that are on top of it right now. I bring up I almost called him, I'm not going to say that, but Chuck Schumer, because he's not doing the same thing that she's doing in the I believe in the Senate, in the House. Excuse me. And she's running again, isn't she? I believe she's trying to, like.
Didn't they kick her out of her office?
No. She ended up stepping down because her husband got brained with a hammer. But I believe they're talking about a fella. He's a black fella. I don't know his name.
Exactly. From New York.
Yeah, you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, pretty. What is his name? He's pretty smart,
He's anti-progressive. He might be smart, but he's not a real progressive, and he's also kind of gung-ho with Israel. He's a real establishment Democrat. He's not your type. He's not your AOC type.
Well, I mean, that sounds like exactly what they want. I mean, they don't want somebody who's going to really do all this progressive type movements and stuff. They want somebody that's going to sit there and, keep things the way they are.
But is that what you and I want? The voting body that's going to be inheriting the economy and the world as it is?
That's a good question.
Of course not. But I mean, the fact of the matter is, as long as corporations keep controlling our politicians and keep getting the ability to basically buy these people off, yeah, of course they're that's going to be what it is. I mean, the fact of the matter is, I think one House member represents like 700,000 people, and you think about that. Like, are they really listening to 700,000 comments? No. You
look at Matt Gaetz talking about he doesn't want this and that to come away from his district and affect these people, but he had no problem with the federal government being shut down. How many federal employees does he have in his district or wherever he lives at? Right.
Exactly.
It's all hypocrisy.
I've long thought that Republicans really don't. Especially when they decided to put Trump as their
speaker.
No. I'm talking about way before. Like, when they decided to put him as the Republican nominee, I knew they really didn't have a vision as to where things were going. Because, like, when Obama got elected, they had this meeting. I can't remember what restaurant it was, but a whole bunch of Republican senators met and devised a systematic method to make sure that Obama didn't get near the amount of things that he wanted to get done. After that, and then they put Trump in office right after that. They didn't really have a plan for that. After that, I don't see what they're just doing short term and not long term. Because now I don't even know what they stand for.
I tell you what they're doing. They're following the DeSantis rule of things. The DeSantis rule of things. Right? They saw Donald Trump come in, whip up the base with his whole like strange far right radical crap, all the things he was saying there, and then DeSantis followed suit. You see the same thing with Ramaswamy, right? DeSantis he's running on wedge issues, and they find that these things are just things that people usually complain about and talk about. There's not things that you actually pass through. I mean, they're passing policy that a slim majority of even their own party agrees with. I believe, wasn't it like 70% of the United States disagreed with the Supreme Court's ruling on abortion?
I think it was 70-75%, something like that.
And that jackal Donald Trump is saying, I just want to give them a seat at the table, right? A seat at the table. Most people don't even want this. You had people in deep red states voting against the anti-abortion stuff.
Because I mean, abortion it crosses party lines. If you got to get an abortion,
bipartisan.
Everybody got to get it.
How long has that been? Though? I mean, it's always been. I'm thinking that percent. that percentage the whole time, you know. But you have all these, like you said, those wedge issues coming in and taking over, and plus you got Trump on the bullhorn talking about all this crazy stuff, and it's like, who are actually listening to this guy and the things that he's saying, because he would contradict himself.
In the same
sentence, it's loonies. You know, I don't remember how many they said, but he's got a gag order for a reason.
Well, well, we can talk about that. That's actually that is really you have to really be a bad person, man, to take this approach, because there's a situation where something can happen to somebody just by you throwing things out.
That's what he wanted. He was threatening General Mark Milley's life, saying he should be executed for the things he was doing. He should be executed because you outed yourself, you clown.
That's crazy how people attach themselves to that type of rhetoric, man. That's crazy as hell to me.
Mm. What else did they have to run off of? I mean, they passed everything that they wanted. They got all the like lunatic stuff that they wanted to get through, even if it like harms the people within their own states. I mean, and it's mostly harming their constituents, poor people who don't have a means of receiving the care and aid that they actually need. They're people who live off of and rely on social welfare and things like that. It's a direct attack. Like I say personally, as a young person, I feel that the Republican Party has made it clear that they disdain me and anything that I might have going on for myself, you know, and that they're actively working against me or trying to make life more difficult for me. So like me outside, I sit in a privileged position. What about the people that are in like deep red Kentucky or deep red anywhere who need an abortion or something like this, or who need WIC for them and their baby and all this, and they're trying to get rid of it every morning. And also they're taking away the EPA's power so that you, like I said, without even fracking, your water gets set on fire. You know, it's a party of lunacy, and like Ace said, they're not running on anything. I saw today that they dropped the gun charge on Hunter Biden.
Well, yeah, of course they did. Let's be real about it. We knew when they started looking into Joe Biden that all it was a retaliatory tactic because because Democrats impeached Trump twice. That's all it broke down to. That we knew that, and I was all for it. I was like, okay, if Biden has done something wrong, put him in jail. Let's get somebody else in there and be done with it. But you saw it in their first proper hearing on the thing. 2 of their 3 witnesses said they didn't even have any evidence. You know how embarrassing that is?
It is.
Like, to sit there and just imagine, you're just sitting there, you've prepared this whole case, or prepared in quotation marks, but like, you don't even have anything. Like, I really wonder what they're trying to distract from. Like, yeah, they're trying to distract from the Trump indictment, sure, but like, what else is going on that they're trying to distract from? Is there policies being passed? Not so much because McCarthy's gone. Like, what else are they trying to distract from? Like, I know that at this point, all they're trying to do is pander to, you know, the people who don't listen to anything other than Fox News and Newsmax and all those other garbage stations. But like, I'm just wondering, what else are they trying to distract from, you know?
I think they're pulling on from a new establishment here. You know, Donald Trump was so popular and so powerful that they were the rhinos, as they called them, lost power, and they had to cave to his crap. You know, we saw them lose in the midterms from it, trying to run on anti-abortion and trans issues and things like that. Like I said in a previous episode, you'd have an easier time convincing the average American that the trans don't exist than you would say that, like, taking your kid to trans reading night or trans cake making or whatever it is actually bad, or all this and that. You know, that's just BS that people are making up. People are going to work and they're not making enough to be able to afford the things that they want, especially with the inflation. Of course, they can blame Biden for it, but like, who gave corporations a permanent tax cut and that we're still paying for. And who gave them PPP loans that the taxpayer paid for that we're still paying for in our inflation, things like that? They were going to get that money regardless. They're always going to mark it as a loss. There's no way to satiate them. They're a hungry animal. You know, there's just like we're a parasite in the belly of the United States, in my opinion. You know what the real problem with the Republican Party is right now? Is they've adopted this whole anti-establishment aesthetic. You know, they're trying to be punk rock, but they have no cause to get behind.
Well, isn't that a small percentage though? Because if you look at it, all the moderates and the blue bloods, are they there because we're having McCarthy? Didn't 8 of them vote against him?
6. He had 6. Or how many was it?
I would say I think it was 8. I want to say it was a small. In any event, it was a small amount that ended up tipping the scales towards him being voted out.
Right. So maybe they was just keeping their head down until the right moment to.
Well, look at Gates. Gates' constituency. They want him to be disruptive. You know, he's getting his money off of his career and what he's doing. He doesn't actually care about the party and any of that and what he's making. That's why he called on everyone to defend him with his FBI trial. Right? He's in my opinion, a lot of them are jackals who are out to serve themselves. That's why I feel like they shouldn't be allowed to participate in the stock market. You know, and if they receive a campaign donation, it should be revealed to the public who they're getting it from exactly. You know,
ain't that how it's supposed to be in the first place?
It should be. If this was a social democratic, I mean, the first
volunteer.
Well, I feel like there's a way to find out that information. I don't know if it's like posted on some back channel government website, but it has to be. I have to imagine that's available information. I'm thinking that it's almost because there's so many different websites that the government has that people don't know about. For example, like there's a whole website you can look at to see what active construction is going on in the state of Michigan. Nobody knows about that website because everybody's like, oh, well, I don't know what's going on, or you know what I mean. I feel like it's posted somewhere. Most people just haven't found it.
In all likelihood, you got to FOIA these jerks. You know, they're never going to let you see those things. I think I heard a little rumor going around that Biden had SoFi Bank, some of those banks that were complaining about us not having to pay our student loans back in his pocket. But in reality, I think we all know that it was the Supreme Court.
No, yeah, that's for sure.
Could it be both?
I mean, that's likely as well. I think that Joe Biden in his current state is if we had 2008 Biden, things would be different. You know, we'd have a Democratic supermajority or a Democratic support across the entire country with the state of the Republican Party. You know, they're shooting themselves in the foot, humiliating McCarthy. Like, they almost forgot his name. He's so irrelevant, that loser. But humiliating him like that, they're shooting themselves in the foot, right? They're really like diving into this anti-establishment thing too hard. And if we had somebody with some life in them, you know, if we had Obama again, if we had 2008 Biden, you know, if we had literally anyone, somebody young, somebody who could get behind it, or somebody who could use this momentum to their advantage, we'd be able to really hamstring the Republican Party. But there's no, there's nothing there. I mean, he won't even stand up to say, like, look at how desperate they are grabbing at straws for my son. You know, he's not doing anything but saying he's a mouthpiece for the establishment. You know, for the Democratic establishment. And I think it's good to hear that they're like seeing that debt relief in a time of like financial struggle that we're in like this. It was like is good for us. You know, I'm glad that they like tried to push the student loan relief, but that ended up falling through. You know, his Green New Deal ended up falling through, and he doesn't have the chops to get up there and rally some people behind a speech. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean that's true. Speaking of speeches, do you know who they're? You'll never guess who the Republicans are thinking of trying to replace McCarthy with.
Yeah, let me guess. Is it Stephen Scalise?
He's one of the names. Yep. But there's somebody else. Somebody that's not in Congress right now.
You talking about Trump?
Yeah.
That was funny as hell when I heard that. I couldn't believe it. I was like, are you serious, man?
You got a man that has an active gag order now. And you're about to put him as the Speaker of the House. How ironic is that? That's just funny to me.
Well, credit to him. He said, you know, I'll do it temporarily until y'all figure it out. You know what I'm saying? So I give him credit for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, he has higher aspirations anyway.
He's looking at the paycheck, or he's looking at in any way that he may be able to pardon himself or be exempt from court dates. And because he lost in court recently, didn't he? That's why he got the gag order, because he was acting up.
That fear is real.
Oh yeah, I mean, I can't remember a time he's won in court. It's been that long. I mean, granted, I mean, most of his lawsuits are frivolous anyway. Like him and his lawyers got fined, I think, a whole bunch of money after the last ruling came down because it was all frivolous and this and that.
So do you guys think this man can ever get a lawyer to represent himself unless it's some type of analyst chaser or somebody like that? You know what I'm saying?
I think there's
because he don't pay him. I mean,
he's got some lady with him right now, but they're all quacks. People you've never heard of.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, there's always somebody that's willing to sign up for a price. You telling me if he gave you $2 million an hour, hypothetically, you wouldn't sign up just for an hour?
I have to see the money up front.
That's $2 million. Never see it. Not getting right. No, you were exactly right.
I mean,
never see it.
In a hypothetical world, let's say he gave you some up front and then said you get the rest after the trial. Like, let's say $1 million now and $1 million after the trial.
Would I do it? No, I wouldn't.
The way I see it, you're going to be taking him to court for that other $1 million if he's even got $1 million to his name. He's talking about Mar-a-Lago was worth what?
$1 billion.
$1 billion. It's a resort. Does he even own that place or does he live there?
I know he lives there. I don't know if he actually owns it. I think he does. I think he bought it, but I'm not sure.
Where do you have $1 billion to buy it from? Or is he saying the value would increase since him living there?
Oh,
is his ego that big?
Oh, yeah.
If he didn't have the ego that he did, he wouldn't be in the position that he was. You remember they humiliated him at that banquet and said all this stuff about how he'll never be president and this and that, and then he ended up running. Imagine if he had just had some humility or whatever it was, or his own, or decent enough self-esteem to not run for president.
It's crazy to imagine what would have happened, because I don't know who would have Republicans put up against Hillary in 2016. I know they would have won, because I don't think people were going to vote Hillary in regardless.
Yeah, Hillary was it was the Democrats shooting themselves in the foot, especially when we had Bernie. I don't know what that was about.
Who would the Republicans have put up?
I could try Romney again.
That's what came to mind with me, Romney.
Yeah, maybe Romney.
He's actually who I'm comfortable with.
Mitt Romney. I mean,
as an independent, that's who I'm actually comfortable with.
See, the one thing I have respect for Romney is he can recognize BS and doesn't mind standing up for it. We may not agree on every single issue, but at least he can see what I can see and will call that garbage out.
Yeah.
And just like that one lady from Alaska, she was willing to call a whole bunch of stuff out too. There was like 2 or 3 Republicans that were actively saying stuff during Trump era.
I give Cheney a little credit. What's her name? Liz?
Yeah, Liz, yeah.
I give her a little credit, but she was kind of out there before, she was actually offended by him and she wanted to, she picked the right...
right way to do it.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me how many times he's attacked the United States military and hasn't received any consequence for it.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. He's talking about the general needs to be executed. He talked about McCain, a war hero. He says, I like my soldiers not captured, something like that.
Yeah, I don't understand how he's able to do all this stuff. I mean, it's not like we're talking about Democrat versus Republican issues. We're talking about the party that wants the military bolstered, right? We're talking about the party that is America first. And you're talking about the military, the one thing that keeps our sovereignty as free-flowing as it is. I don't understand how they haven't disavowed that garbage yet. Or maybe Republicans are just saying, hey, he going to say what he say, it works, so...
Remember, like I said earlier, they've got this whole anti-establishment agenda. He's going to be the guy who's not like an actual politician. He says, what could it hurt when he's running and all this and that. He said he's going to drain the swamp and come in, but he had I believe Bush-era people within his in his cabinet.
Yeah.
He's a real BS artist, and he's given them an opportunity. And I won't speak for the entire party. Of course, I think there are some people who do have their wits about them. Some people who might have even given up their supporting them. But he's given people an excuse to be their worst selves.
Well, they need to have some courage and backbone.
Yeah.
That needs to happen. You know what I'm saying? Because they're standing around quiet. I mean, I don't know if they're afraid. I mean, he's throwing out threats, so they have reason to be, don't they?
Yeah, if he's threatening law clerks and judges.
Yeah. I don't know what actual power he's actually going to do. Like, what are you going to do? Like, he's not going to actually shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue. Let's be real. He's too old, too decrepit. Like, what is Trump actually going to do? He going to sue you and then not pay you when he loses? I mean, like, what? You know what I mean? Like,
he's going to put your name and your picture out there on the social media, and then let people know that he's angry with you. And
yeah, if Alex Jones can have the parents of school shootings victims' houses be shot up so much so that they had to sue him later.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Then imagine what Donald Trump can have done. Right. And Alex Jones is a clown.
Yeah. I think he had to pay like $1 billion. I think they came down with the
Something close to that. He had to pay a lot.
Alex
of
Jones
money.
had $1 billion.
He made a lot of money. I don't know if he had $1 billion.
He didn't have $1 billion. I'm saying the judgment was either $1 billion, a whole lot of $1 million in damages.
They were shooting into those people's houses because he called them. He basically made. You remember what he said? He basically said that those shootings were an act.
Mm-hmm. They didn't actually. Them kids actually didn't get shot and all this.
They were false flag actors, or whatever you call.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, speaking of actors, people are pretending, putting on airs and lying. Ace, you've been looking into Sam Bankman-Fried and his trial starting up soon, haven't you?
Yeah. So the trial, as of time of recording, just started yesterday. So basically, Sam Bankman-Fried is known as crypto's golden boy. You know, he headed up FTX and also came up with the crypto hedge fund Alameda Research. But to give you a basic coverage of what crypto is, because a lot of people don't know what crypto is basically like virtual cash. Its value is worth something to people who agree that its value is that amount. Just like how cash works now, right? We all agree that this green piece of paper is worth $1, so it's worth $1. Same thing with crypto. It's very volatile for this reason because it doesn't have that historical backing like cash has, like gold has, and it's not ran by the FTC, so it's not, it's a haven for money launderers and this and that because it's not monitored by the federal government. So he ran these. He ran FTX. He put somebody in charge of Alameda Research, but essentially the federal government charged him with 7 counts, including wire fraud and securities fraud. Basically saying he stole all this money from his customers and investors. The prosecutors' side they're saying that he's like this modern Bernie Madoff who stole money from his customers and lied to investors in this years-long scheme to make sure that he got all these luxury amenities and political donations and this and that. Like that was his whole. He knew what he was doing. He was using the funds to cover the losses gained from Alameda Research. To prop up FTX to keep it going so that he could have this lavish lifestyle. Now, his defense is he's saying he was just a lowly 25-year-old. He bit off more than he could chew. The company got too big too fast, and he didn't know he committed fraud. And and he was just listening to the FTX lawyers. That's why he got into this situation.
He's throwing his lawyers under the bus. Huh?
Oh yeah.
Who was his lawyer?
I don't know exactly the names, but the lawyers who were in charge of the legal aspects of FTX, I guess. They say the trial is going to last 6 weeks, but if all 7 counts go through, his max sentence is 110 years in prison. So
it's pretty funny.
I mean, so do you all have any experience on crypto, or what are your thoughts on it? And then what do you think is going to happen from the case?
I know a little bit about crypto. I think it's a scam. I'll say this first, and you're saying that they're going with he was this poor, nearly 30-year-old baby. This young boy, young fresh face. But I mean, you look at the guy. You could probably go with the idiot scam. I mean, he's got like Art Garfunkel's hair. He's got this like. This bowling pin body. He's like a tall, soft baby. He's a weird looking dude, so I guess they could go over that. But Then he try to sell his throw his girlfriend under the bus, and before that he was going around calling himself the polite billionaire and all this and that. Plus he came from money as it is.
Right. I mean, his girlfriend was the head of Alameda Research. That's why he threw her under the bus, because he said, "Oh, well, she didn't do what I told her to do, and this is why we're in the situation." Meanwhile, his cronies have all taken guilty plea deals. He's the only one that's actually going to trial.
What's his name? Gary Wang.
That's one of them, yeah.
Yeah. So he's definitely the one throwing him under the bus for real.
I mean, who would stick up for that guy? Honestly, you look at crypto as it is. It's based, I guess, kind of in legitimate currencies and things like that. You know, but like you said, it's not regulated by the government. I'm sure you can get euros and all kinds of different currencies for your crypto. It just depends on how much the value is in the market you trade it in. But I've always thought of those things as a scam, you know, a means for somebody with a little bit of a pull to their name or a little bit of a backing behind their words to pull off a pump and dump scheme, you know.
Well, I mean, the fact of the matter that the whole crypto industry, you can make your own coin. Like, you can just make it and say, "Oh, it's worth this much," and you just sound confident in this and that. And now you have a multi-billion-dollar company. Like, that's my whole thing with crypto. Like, I mean, yeah, you got Bitcoin and this and that. It's the longest running one, sure. But even with Bitcoin, I'm still like, no, I don't think so. You know, I don't think I'd ever invest in it because all of it seems fishy. I mean, when you have something that's not regulated by the federal government, all you're asking for is criminals to use it as their main source of income and enterprise.
Well, that's what they did it for before. Andrew Tate himself used it for a while. That's how he made a lot of his money. I think back during the crypto bubble, back when you had Dogecoin and all these other things, when you had influencers and YouTubers, Elon Musk, all kinds of dirtbags using it, you could have had literally anyone as an advisor on your... You could have had John Wayne. You could have had Grover off of Sesame Street as an advisor on your coin. You know, and people would have bought in. It's not... It's like it seems really illegitimate to me. I remember I was watching like FaZe Clan, and I think they had like the Save the Kids coin or something like that. And Jake Paul and Logan Paul, they've been running scams there. Jake he tried to clean up his act and pretend he was just a boxer for a while. He's trying to pretend he's Caleb Plant, you know. But we all know that they're coming from a base and origin of scamming. His own brother is still under investigation for scams he was running right now. You know.
Oh yeah, I mean, didn't he? Is Logan Paul the one that came up with that crypto zoo garbage?
Yeah, and then he got investigated by a YouTuber, busted his stuff wide open.
Yeah, CoffeeZilla, man, I tell you, it's embarrassing when a YouTuber can research your whole situation and find out all the scams and stuff you did. That's
you're just showing your wallets on stream or saying it out loud, or you're bragging about you're trying to make up bets with different people. He's always been like a circus act, a charlatan, a real sideshow kind of guy, you know. But like, there is no but. That's exactly what he is. You know, that's all he has going for himself. Right now, he's in a boxing match with a fella who's been posting felonious pornography of his wife, I believe, you know, because revenge porn is illegal. So you're talking about the dregs of society here, you know, low down people.
I mean, what is your thoughts on crypto, man?
You know what? I don't know much about it, but I always believed it was a place where people can launder money, and like drug dealers and places, you know, things like that, corrupt businessmen. You know, I never thought it was legitimate, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I never really looked into it.
For sure. I mean, I know that they've tried to herald crypto as like this alternative to the banks, and the fact that all these banks are being greedy and this and that. This was their solution to try to find an alternative. But the problem is, until they get regulated by the federal government, you're going to be associated with all those criminals and money launderers and this and that. And I'm not going to invest in something if I know that my potential money, not only could it be gone in a blink of an eye if people lose confidence in the coin, but on top of that, you know, your money could be going to Castro and all them idiots. Like, I can't support that.
How much of didn't like a teacher's pension somewhere get screwed up by FTX? So those guys, I don't even know if they have anything to retire on anymore. You know,
that is crazy.
I would never tie that level of money or wealth to this, no matter how confident or how polite the billionaire backing it is. It's like this. There's a new age or a different type of con man showing up, and I think Ramaswamy falls in with it. It's like, it's not just like being confident in your words and being able to spin things and things like that. It's about pretending to be smarter than you actually are.
Oh yeah.
The average person isn't as well informed on crypto and things like that as you might think. I don't have all the knowledge on it, but I will say that it is like still kind of a not taboo, but like an aloof subject. Like it's kind of hard to get all the information on it. So like.
Yeah, because I mean, when Bitcoin was getting big, even people made this joke about the person that would try to get you into crypto, like almost like a sleazy businessman saying, "Oh, you got to get into crypto, man. It's so powerful." And third, it's like somehow you can mine crypto by using a whole bunch of computers or something and generate crypto, which or generate Bitcoin, which I don't really understand any of that, but I can't imagine. I mean, yes, you can generate. The federal government can generate money, but like, you can't physically mine it through using a computer. You can't mine money through a computer. So I don't really understand how it's lasted this long. To be honest with you,
I have no idea how that works at all. They say that it you have a little trouble.
You're right.
Can you hear me? Oh,
yeah,
I can hear me.
Okay.
I don't understand. I don't know how it works at all. That's why like they say that you're mining and things like that. I think you just need like a strong CPU or something. I think maybe you need a 3090 or a 1080. It's just I'm throwing out numbers here, but these are just like computer parts that they say have the processing power to actually carry out the task. Thing of it is I don't know what it like entails with how you would do it, and if anybody could do it like that, what's stopping somebody from programming a bot by this point and just like overwhelming the market? So
exactly, which is the whole point of it being government regulated, because if you don't have a government regulation, everybody can print their own money. I mean, everybody can make their own coin now. So it's like, how do you determine if this is worth this much, or there's so many issues with the crypto world. I just couldn't really find a reason to get into it, honestly.
I think that's why those NFTs went off for a while like they did, because anybody could do it. That's why you saw a lot of C and D list celebrities who are like having a coin or like a monkey come out with like some kind of piece of art. Donald Trump did it,
I would say, yep, he sure did.
I think you could. But the thing of it is you could just copy and paste the image. One person or no one has to buy it at all. Even you could just go on there, copy and paste it onto a different document, and you would have to print onto a shirt if you wanted to. You can steal the image because it's on the internet.
I'm just learning as I go. This is all news to me.
I get you.
It's it is what it is. But onto a more pressing matter, one that we not that Sam going to trial losing, because he did defraud most of the United States, but going on to another man who's defrauded most of the United States, so much so that he's been very heavily penalized for it. He even investigating the Trump trial and the recent gag order he's been placed under.
Well, it's a limited gag order that the judge put him under, but the other day he went on social media and posted on there the judge's law clerk and name and information that had disparaging words to say about the woman and all that, and that's where the limited gag order came in. And it's like, why is it limited? You know what I'm saying? This person's life is literally in danger. You don't know what's going to happen to him. And it's just weird that he's able to get away with that type of thing. I mean, could you imagine not to put him in that place, but can you imagine a kingpin drug dealer going over waves and say over the waves or over the internet and saying this person, this and that, and saying all these different things, and then all of a sudden all these people, be it by reward or whatever, coming at this person and making threats and parking in front of their house and all that, and it's limited. Why isn't this man in jail? Why haven't they shut him down from speaking at all?
I mean, my guess is literally the fact that he was a former U.S. president. That whole thought process of like, oh, he was a president, we don't want to throw him in jail, we don't want to put all these restrictions on him and this and that because it looks bad across the pond and it looks bad on the Republican Party. But I mean, the fact of the matter is, I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't go ahead and break that in about a week and a half.
Yeah.
Wouldn't even be surprised. I mean, I also wouldn't be surprised if that clerk doesn't go ahead and quit by now, because thinking about all the stuff that they're about to go through. I mean,
just imagine all the things that could happen. I'm not saying that it will happen, but think about Saddam Hussein saying, "Oh, this person is not a friend of the state," or whatever, and then that person wind up disappearing. You know what I'm saying? What if it got that bad?
It very well could.
And we are all witness to it. So where do you ultimately draw the line and say enough is enough, and this is how it's going to be? Because is that free speech?
See, and then that gets into the First Amendment rights, right? So it's like you can say lies, you can do all these things, but somebody can then sue you for defamation if it's untrue statements, if it's statements that affected your business and this and that. But like, you can say whatever to a certain extent, whatever you want. You obviously can't do active threats like yelling fire in a movie theater and stuff like that. But I mean, at some point they're gonna have to make a decision and just agree to just silence this man, because not kill him by any means, but like just have him sit in the corner and just look at what he did. You know what I mean?
Or add charges.
Yeah.
Add charges. You know what I'm saying? An insane person can put two and two together and say, "Hey, you know what?" Just like they did with on the 6th. Did he directly come out and say, "Go storm the Capitol"?
No, of course not.
He didn't. But people actually went and did it.
Yeah,
because he implied it, or
alluded to it.
Jammed him up. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Cam, what's your thoughts on this, man?
Well, you saw what happened when they politely asked for his documents back in Mar-a-Lago. How they made it like they were going after. They went to the president's house. God forbid, they had him on his stomach, dear God, and all this and all the BS that they came up with there. And then they're talking about how they're going to come after you next, as if anybody's going to come to rural Wisconsin, wherever you live, in your suburb or your subdivision, wherever you're at, and kick your door. And the IRS, maybe your local police force, but they're not going to come after you. And they didn't come after him in the way that they did. They understand that party or his base of support are going to use literally anything that they can to make it seem like the radical Democratic left is going after the baby killing, vampire Democratic left was going after their Messiah and doing whatever they can to him. I think, if they already are being derided as criminals and committers of infanticide and this and that, perhaps it would be beneficial to just have him see concrete, concrete and bars. If they just put him in a cell for one night, he's a 72-year-old man, put him in there, make the bail high, drain his pockets a little bit, make it a little harder for him to go to trial in court and things like that. He spends a cold night in there with a bologna sandwich, maybe he'll be able to behave himself.
Well, most people think that's treason.
Screw him.
Because they still think he's the president.
What are they going to do about it? Like that one lunatic that went after the FBI agency, he ran up there with a nail gun and a pistol, and they hunted him across his state and murdered him in his car.
Or them people that tried to kidnap Governor Whitmer during.
That's what I'm saying. Is crazy people out there.
Yeah. I think that there's an illusion among people, and now regular people are starting to fall for it, that the average AR-15 wielding American can go against the United States military or the United States enforcement body in any way possible. You might have all these guns, you might have ex-military guys on your side and things like that, but if a military body across the seas cannot contend with these people, what makes you think that you and the militia that you formed is going to be able to stop them if they want to come get you?
Well, it doesn't.
They got the Proud Boy leaders.
It's just like a gang spread across the country. You know what I'm saying? People say, "Oh, those are fake gangs," but they still call them harm.
They need to show get their nuts back. I hate to use this kind of language, but they're showing themselves to be weak. They're showing him that he can get away with and do whatever they want. They're showing the people that they can get away with and do whatever they want. That's why they went and sacked the Capitol. And that's why they yell at Mike Pence whenever they see it. They say and do whatever they want because they're entitled and they feel entitled because they're like I said, their Messiah is untouched. But I'm telling you, 72 hours and surrounded by cold concrete, put him in protective custody or whatever, you know? But you put him in there in the orange jumpsuit, he'll act different. He'll come out there crying and talking about all the pain he's in and how they did him and all this and that, and they'll be angry. And then a couple of fools will go out to these agencies or whatever it is, and they'll be hunted down and killed like the fools who tried to do it before.
Yeah, I mean, I just think about seeing that on a T-shirt. Because you know somebody going to get a picture of him in the orange jumpsuit if he actually makes it in jail.
Man, how much did his mugshot make?
I think they said it made at least $1 million, at least.
That is crazy.
You know, I mean...
There was no shame in him putting that out there with the sale.
I'm outlaw. That's their whole thing. Outlaw a country, things like that. You know, Waylon Jennings or whatever else they want to put together with. I don't know. It's a whole subculture. You know.
Well, I mean, the fact of the matter is, this is all Trump has to go on, right? He has to play into the. I think I've said this before. He has to play into this Messiah, better than the stereotype and being mean mugging in his mugshot. Because if he doesn't, his party or the people that are supporting him, them 40%, are going to be disillusioned, and then the cult stops. And when you don't have a cult behind you, you're just a guy in white clothes at that point. You know what I mean?
Well, at some point, we have to recognize the fact that he think he is Jesus. Cause you guys saw that picture he put out with himself next to Jesus, with the white Jesus.
I think I did see that. Yeah,
you guys see that?
I didn't see that.
He put out a photo. I don't know if it was a postcard or whatever, but he's standing next to Jesus Christ.
I think it's more dangerous to, and I understand that there's some people who are against that, and he is like we all have agreed they're Messiah.
Where are those people at?
You know, those people want to go to like a rally together and yell. The more radical guys are like groypers and the occasional lone wolf actor. That's not to say that there won't be people who organize. You know, there's the Proud Boys, there's the 3%ers, there's all kinds of different neo-Nazi groups. But for the most part, I think when they saw their leaders go to trial in Congress and be sentenced, you know, and they saw they understand that the government is aware of their presence. They understand that the government has it well within their capabilities to do something about them doing things. And I think if the government actually showed their ability to do things, you would have a lot less, I don't want to say confidence on their side, but you'd have a lot less people like acting with impunity and saying and doing whatever they want. I might have been a little extreme in my words of saying making him sit in a cell or whatever that, even though he definitely deserves it, you know. But I think if you showed like more than just a slight gag order, if the Democratic Party or not even the Democratic Party, if the establishment party, the people that are prosecuting him didn't give him these little special privileges like that, didn't let him break things like that and get away with it, if they actually gave him real punishment, like, hey, that's a fine. Yeah, $2 million right there for saying that. We told you not to do it.
Yeah, there it is, Cam. It hit them pockets.
I would say it all comes down to money. Because if he doesn't have enough money, he can't pay his legal team to continue to allow this BS to continue. I mean, you gotta hit them pockets, and I mean that's what part of what the justice system was founded on, trying to hit people's pockets as a punishment. Excuse me. That's why you got fines. Like when you break the law by speeding, for example, you get a ticket. What you got to do? Pay the fine or appear in court. Being able to try to make stuff go away just by paying enough money. So
yeah. I think he's expecting to like not wait it up, but spend the rest of however long he gets sentenced in Mar-a-Lago, you know. But I think what would really hurt him and what would really scare the people in his position, or people who want to follow in that position to try to do whatever they want, is if he did see some actual jail time, or if they really hit his pockets and broke him. You know, if they see some of his assets, Trump Tower, they take the golden letters down. You know, because he's lost that now.
I would say that's what they're trying to do now, because once this trial comes down, because they've already ruled that. Partially already in Attorney General Letitia James's favor. They just haven't finished the full case yet. Once that comes down, he's not going to be able to operate Trump Tower. He's not going to be able to do business in New York, which is one of his main hubs. I mean, yeah, he's started to move stuff out of New York to Florida, but I mean, it's still a major blow to him. You know.
Because those are like legacy things, aren't those some of that real estate things he inherited from his father?
Oh yeah, he's bought some of those places too.
Yeah.
You know, that's really gonna hurt, especially the fact that he won't be able to have that Trump name on that building. That's gonna hurt.
Main thing, as long as that, I'm all for that. It's just the innocent people, the little people that he just throws rhetoric out there, and their lives get turned upside down. And that is.
He's definitely a menace. He is a real menace.
That is the craziest stuff in the world.
Makes me a little hesitant in my words, honestly, because of how radical his group is. You know what? Talking about things in the international community a little bit, I wanted to bring up the Russo-Ukrainian war. Have you guys heard anything about the goings on there? If not, I can fill you in.
Yeah, I haven't heard much about it.
Well, basically, things are pretty bad there right now. It's very bad. If you guys understand how bad trench warfare is and how it was there, basically a grinding of bodies, people throwing themselves against the stones. It's like that. People are being brought low pretty bad. They're using, like I believe in a separate episode, they're using outlawed weaponry in different places. I believe Kyiv was hit either today or a little while ago, and it killed innocents in a cafe. Russia is losing hundreds of millions, if not a good chunk of their military power. I mean, I saw the United States was bragging, saying that just by donating or letting, I don't remember letting Ukraine use 5% of the United States military budget as it is right now, we've managed to destroy 50% of Putin's our standing army, but at what cost? We might have lost 5% here. Granted, that 5% is God knows how much money,
right?
But Ukrainian blood is being spilled. Russian blood is being spilled. There's no incentive for the United States to stop it, because not only are we destroying the military of what we perceive to be an enemy, somebody who we still get a lot of our natural gas from and things like that. Somebody who we tell where our plane routes are going to be, this and there. We're also getting the money for that 5% that we're putting out, because there's no way that we're just giving them that 5% and getting nothing back out of it.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like just putting damage on Russia arguably might be enough, because I mean we haven't gotten along with well, let me say that everybody but Trump hasn't gotten along with Russia since before the Cold War. Even before that, when they were USSR and that. So I mean, I wouldn't. Obviously, there's going to be some kind of deal to recuperate, But I wouldn't be surprised if it's not about the repaying of funds, the rebuilding of weaponry, and this and that. Just destroying Russia in and of itself is enough. What I'm really surprised about is this war has been going on for a year. We haven't heard any talks about negotiations, stopping this thing. I remember them saying in the beginning they tried to talk to Russia and Russia wouldn't budge, but it's I don't even know if, they've gotten most of their land back at this point. Ukraine has. And Russia really hasn't made all that much progress. So I'm like, okay, we're at a standstill here. Are we really still trying to annex Ukraine at this point, or are we just sitting here just trying to whittle each other down to nothing? What? I don't understand how we haven't gotten to the negotiation table by now.
Right. That's what I'm saying. What happened to diplomacy? Whatever happened to it? Because was it billions of dollars? You said 5%. Mm-hmm. And here we are with our government closed. Military people ain't getting paid, and all these different things. And it's where does it end? I mean, where does it make sense for the American people? Is my point.
I think so. Right.
So what kind of investment is this for us?
I think to be honest, I was going to ask you this, and of course we can always edit this out since it is a little unpopular. But I wanted to ask, do you guys really care about what's going on in Ukraine right now? Of course, I don't think that innocents should be getting killed and things like that. But do you guys want the federal budget to be like cutting off a piece to give over to Ukraine and also
So that's a hard question. I I was when it originally started, I was like, yeah, that's cool because Russia needs to, or Ukraine is the underdog, this and that. They need to be beaten back by Russia. But this thing has been going on by a year. I think if we're gonna give them some more money, I think it needs to come at the cost of somebody coming to the discussion table and trying to work out a deal or something. I mean, it's just no progress, and God forbid the Ukraine runs out of money and runs out of people, then this whole war would have been for nothing, and Putin gets what he wants.
I think what's going to happen is they're going to end up getting done like the Kurds, like how the United States will use them in any kind of Middle Eastern engagement or like attack they have there, and then when they're done with them, they get kicked to the curb, like how the USSR was after they broke up and they had their rebellion. There's gangs with all this military grade equipment, and they have Nazis over there in Ukraine. They're gonna have all this military grade equipment. There's gonna be human trafficking and things like that. I think we're just making it worse for Ukraine as it is, and plus we're not there's no one over here benefiting. The quid pro quos are of course they're pushing these guys out kind of, but now they're in a deadlock. They're trapped in draconian war efforts. They got trenches and they're using cluster bombs to try to fish each other out. There's still regular civilian things being hit. There's markets, apartments, and things like that. Kyiv is getting bombed and things like that. There's no real headway other than just like the spilling of blood and the destruction of the Russian body. Like millions being destroyed there, and billions being over here being sent over there. That's not to say we don't have just warehouses of missiles just collecting dust, and guns just with spiders living in the barrels and things like that. Of course, we have the equipment, but what are we actually getting out of it, out of sight of spilling another nation's blood, for the destruction of our enemy? Because we're not letting them into NATO, Plus, we can't give them these weapons to use on Russian land because they would see that as an act of war. So I don't understand what I feel like we're in a deadlock here. I think, of course, the United States is making money some way. They're giving them loans, and I'm sure there's interest on those loans. But there's I see no real good benefit. I see no end to the war. I think the best thing would be an end to the war, and I see that. I don't see that coming anyway, because the United States is the fuel for Ukraine, and Russia is its own superpower, and we keep pumping it in there. Same as the rebellion in Libya, when they were trying to kill Gaddafi. You remember? And they kept giving them missiles and things like that. Yep. And the rebels had all this and that. There was blood being spilled, but at least they got Gaddafi after a while. What are they going to get? They're not going to go get Putin.
No. I remember them saying all they wanted is all of Ukraine back, but I mean, at some point you gotta look at the losses you're telling, and they won't. Of course, they won't tell us what all the casualties are currently in the war. They're gonna have a lower number than what it actually is anyway. So it's I don't know. What do you think, man?
I think that for me, it's on the brink of nuclear war. You know what I'm saying? Anything can happen at this point. Who knows? I mean, do we have enough sense, enough awareness not to, push it up to that line? Because a desperate man can do anything. Putin, if he feels like he's losing and has nothing to lose, then there's no telling what he'll do.
Right.
I think
good.
Well, I agree with you. I think if China stops backing them financially, because we pulled a lot of our industry out of there, and I think we're stopping to pull our gas from them as well. We got a lot of Republican runners right now talking about how they want to frack over here and use America's natural gas deposits and things like that. They want to pull the crude from here instead of continuing to work with Saudi Arabia and Russia. Not that we can work with Russia, but he's getting literally pushed into a corner here, People surrounded him. I believe Sweden recently joined NATO, They wanted Ukraine to join NATO, and that would be if Mexico became a communist party back in during the Cold War,
Yeah.
They're getting boxed in, and I hope he's not desperate enough to turn to thermonuclear war, that would be total fallout for mankind. That would be the falling of everything, but I think that would really be based on ego and things like that. Because if you look at Russians and the things that they're doing, they're in a lot of ways not all that different from the United States, or anywhere for that matter. A lot of people use a lot of Western culture and technology and things like that for their own benefit, and Chinese technology like that as well. So it's really not I see no real benefit in it other than it just being like an enemy to have there. It's not like they were really communist as it was anyway. We had dealings with them. We got a lot of our natural gas from, like I said. We tell them our flight plans when we're doing things. When we got Turkey and the Dead Sea. If we're flying a plane between there before the war, we would tell them we were doing it, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I just hope that he's not desperate enough to get boxed in like that, and I hope, like, I don't know if it's ever going to happen. Maybe there's going to be some kind of coup, you know, Prigozhin. It seems as if they shot him down.
I see how you took care of that.
You know, they shot him down, so it doesn't see. I guess unless like some kind of Putin, really close up general, pistols him or something, you know, or somebody like there's a rebellion of things. Because you see that if like even a celebrity or people on the ground floor say something about it, the media will kind of cover it and things like that. Putin is czar right now. He's got absolute control, same as Xi Jinping is emperor. I don't see I don't see their reign or their rule being ended anytime soon. You know, and I think with that, we're gonna see this war continue to till there's nothing for them to like try to take, until there's just rubble left and then people that hate them. It's not like Crimea where it's like a good amount of these people are Russian descendant or part of Russia, and they're just gonna roll over when you roll in with the tanks. These are people that wanted their own nation, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I just hope that it doesn't, like, because I'm sure people would prefer where people are angry and desperate enough to turn to nukes before they would let their cities turn to rubble, you know. But I just hope it doesn't turn to that point, and I hope we don't have a hand in pushing it there just for profits.
Yeah, because I mean, it's gonna be the Cold War all over again.
Well, you know what? On a lighter, more comical note, Ace, you've been investigating France and their efforts to find or rehome the homeless, huh?
Yeah. So I don't know. If everybody remembers, but the Olympics is coming up again. This is the first Summer Olympics since before COVID and that. So France is moving their homeless people out of Paris, and it's not related to the Summer Olympics, allegedly. The government stated that they're relocating to other parts of France to, quote, relieve pressure on the capital's emergency shelter services. That was a real good way to say that. But there's some non-government organizations there that believe that's why it's recently been activated. You know, Parisian hotels have started canceling emergency housing contracts with the government to try to make space for the tourism influx and that. They said in 2022 that there was 50,000 homeless people in the region that Paris is in, and that's about half of all the homeless people in France. So they're trying to ship them out, and half of these places, these smaller Parisian regions, aren't even super equipped, you know, to take all these homeless people. But, you know, they're not guaranteed a roof over their head, but, you know, they're going to be migrated, that's for sure. So, I mean, it's quite clear why they're doing this, I think. I'm not even going to sugarcoat that. Obviously, it's happening because of the Olympics, and the Olympics needs to be this grandiose event, you know, where they showcase the world, this, that, and the third. That's the thing they've portrayed. That's why people or cities and that will build infrastructure that's literally used only for that one event, and then never used again, right? But what do you think is going to happen, you know, with how do you think this is going to affect the economy, basically? The Olympics happening there and just the homeless people being bussed out. Do you think people are even going to care?
I personally don't think people are going to care, but my question is, how many of those people are immigrants? You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That's been there, who came over the border, and they're just using this other excuse to get rid of them, put them out, you know.
Push them out further?
Yeah, out further. I don't know, but they can do that. But once the Olympics is over, they got all those buildings they can come back to and, you know, put up shelters or whatever.
That's if they allow that to happen. I mean, you look at I think it was Brazil had the World Cup, and they built a whole stage and whole arena just for these 7 events. I think it was like a little tournament or whatever. Once they got done, it sat empty for years. You can still see pictures of it. It looks decrepit, and nobody's using it because the government wouldn't let them use it for whatever reason.
Yeah. That's crazy.
So I mean, and that's what happens that's what you see happen with the Olympics, right? There's so many buildings that just get erected literally for this, 13-day event, and then nobody thinks to look back. Well, what happened to these buildings afterwards? When you look back, some of them look terrible. Mm-hmm. There's some places that are willing to reutilize these things, but the Olympic Committee has so many restrictions and rules that have to be in place to allow a city to take the nomination for the Olympics. You know what I mean? So it's a mess, man. But Cam, what do you think?
I think they're going to make a lot of money with the Olympics. I think every country, when they host it, makes a lot of money when they have it there. I think this is something, it's nothing new. They always do these kinds of things. You look at Russia when they had the Olympics there. I don't know how long ago it was. I believe maybe the mid-2000s, where they had the athletes sitting in an unfinished hotel, So you're right in the sense that they're throwing buildings up just to see this done, because the return on the investment is worth it, I just think that it's not very lucrative or worthwhile for them to just leave it there rotting when they could turn it into a modern homeless shelter. Not just one where people go in there at night, and they have to leave during the day, but one that offers them social welfare programs, something that gives them a little education or a means of reintegrating into society. You could just have you could have somebody laying on the street who was a loan manager, and just the economy got to a position or a place where he couldn't maintain his lifestyle, and they got sent out to the streets. But people, the second you're out there, treat you as if you were an animal. Excuse me.
I mean, France isn't the only one that has that issue with trying to ship homeless people elsewhere. I mean, we have that problem here real bad. I mean, we don't even want to halfway keep places open to house these people. We're absolutely fine with people just sleeping under overpasses, or worse yet, building structures specifically designed to make it more difficult for these people to just exist in society.
So they can't lay on a bench and things like that. It's nasty.
Well, I watched videos, they urinating in the streets and all that stuff. So.
But you're talking about people that... Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, but what are they supposed to do? If they don't have the public infrastructure to have public bathrooms, they don't ever clean these things, and the ones that they do have. So, I mean, they're human, right? They have to pee, they have to poop, they have to do these things, they have to eat. So, I mean, at some stage, if you're not going to put the infrastructure for them to have those resources, what do you expect them to do?
Yeah, these are people that are being brought low and being turned feral by the elements. If you have to find a way to survive, find a way to eat, you gotta, you might not be even wiping yourself. You're self-medicating with drugs to try to, deal with some of the issues you have in your mind, or it could have been mentally that brought you there in the first place. Mm-hmm. So you're gonna turn to desperate measures, and you're gonna make bad decisions. I don't think the appropriate response to somebody being turned feral by their environment is to punish them further, or try to push them somewhere else with someone else's problem. These are still human beings that we're talking about, people who could commit or contribute to the economy, especially if you're putting them in these programs and working with them.
Now, how much are the local businesses agreeing with this move, you think?
I mean, I think the local businesses are fine with it, because at the end of the day, it's getting them more foot traffic and everything else.
So you're talking about millions of dollars coming into the city.
Yeah.
And how is that going to happen when you're stepping over something? I'm not saying that that's right.
No. I mean,
I'm just saying you'd be surprised how much of the local business owners in the city of Paris signed off on that.
Oh yeah, I mean, I have to imagine that they had to have some type of meeting before they accepted the nomination many years back. Are y'all gonna be okay? We got to do X, Y, Z. Are y'all gonna be? You know what I mean? Some type of town meeting, something to agree to bid for the nomination.
Yeah, so unfortunately, that's just how it works. You know what I'm saying? You have an opportunity to make billions of dollars in what y'all say 13 days.
Yeah.
That's what it's going to be. They'll deal with the problem later. They'll kick the can down the road.
Yeah.
Look, I think we can all agree, and this isn't us being all high, even though we are all privileged men, we can all agree that it's not, you don't want to have these guys just doing whatever on the street. You don't want to have them see them like Skid Row. Well, I think they might have gentrified that recently. Well, you don't want to have them just laying there, high or whatever it is. You don't want to have them just wandering around, loitering or whatever it is. But if you have infrastructure that's there afterward, if you have a means of helping these people, why let it sit there and rot So you're just letting the problem go on for longer. If you have social welfare programs, if you have a means of actually doing it, it's beneficial to everybody. That's bipartisan, to get these people off the streets, put them inside of these facilities, and get them through what they need to get through to help them. Some of them, I believe, cannot be helped. There's some people who will never trust those institutions because they may be a paranoid schizophrenic. They might have all kinds of issues going on with them, But there are some people, like I said, there's that loan manager who's there. There's that mom who's staying in her car with her 2 kids, and their kids smell like cat piss when they go into school because they don't have any running water or anything to wash them with, and their most nutritious meal is coming from that school breakfast and lunch. I think if we gave these people, if we actually held some bootstraps out for them, like we keep trying to throw into their faces, we'd be able to help them. Just today, when I was out shopping, I went to a more expensive grocery store to buy eggs. Eggs in there were $1.65, right? I go over to a dollar store and it's $1.70 in there. Why does it cost more in the dollar store for eggs than it does in a grocery store?
Because, the whole dollar store thought process is based in the fact that they feel like they are filling the gap of a need, right? They're oftentimes in these places where there's food deserts, where there's not a affordable grocery store within the region. So they are making these, eggs, your milk, your cheese, your bread and stuff, making this stuff available. But they feel like they can charge a little bit more because it's that convenience. What other option do you have? What are you going to do about it is the thing,
I think it's real expensive to not have any money. It costs a whole lot of money to have no money. And I think France moving these guys out in the way that they're doing, breaking up communes and not offering any kind of solution on the outside is going to make it worse.
Well, there's a phrase that people have said for a long time. I'm too broke to go bankrupt. Yeah. That speaks to that whole situation. Like, you have to have money to be able to file the motion paperwork to go bankrupt. You can't just go bankrupt, so.
Tell you, what problem they're going to end up dealing with. You know what poverty leads to?
Yeah.
Crime.
Mm-hmm. Well, in Paris, they've always had a pickpocketing problem for years. That's
an ancient city, You go to Vatican City, somebody will steal your wallet or something like that. But I think that's a given. There's always going to be petty things like that. But there's going to be organized crime. There's going to be people who live in a slum or something who are like, I'm not getting put out of here again. I'm going to get my hands on an automatic or semi-automatic weapon and defend myself or where I live here. And you know what else? I'm going to move some weight, some drugs or whatever it is so I have some money.
They say relocate. It's more like dislocate, isn't it?
Yeah, because those are those people's homes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, look, fellas, I think we've been going for a little while now. You guys want to take a break, give our viewers a little break, and then we'll reconvene?
Sounds good to me.
All right, welcome back, people. Welcome back, fellas. I hope you guys had a good break. On entertainment, I know that we talked about this a little bit as it is, but Kevin McCarthy, after he got ousted, had a press conference. He gave a little speech. I know I really gave the man the business before, but I really like to lay into him now. It was one of the most pathetic, sad displays I've seen in a long time. And granted, he is one of the first losers in American history to receive this level of loss. But he gave a speech and started out all the way back in his childhood. The man basically was reading memoirs, a biography of sorts. He's still the representative of Bakersfield, right? But he goes all the way back to when he was going to community college, when he was flipping cars in community college, when he won the lottery and took his parents out to dinner. It was so boring. The person that I was watching it with stopped watching and started looking at their phones. And mind you, this is a historic event, right? Nobody's been ousted like this before. How do you turn something so huge? There's no way that he's going to be a pariah for that long because he's such an uninteresting person. He's he's like Christie. Remember when Christie took that seat in deep blue state? He's a Republican in California. All right, it's not a very common occurrence as it is. You have a Democrat in the office in California up until they're voting one day and dying the next of old age. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It was pathetic. If I was him, I definitely would have just thrown a lot of every one of the 6 or 8 that threw me out. I would have threw them under the bus. I would have talked about Gates, since he's the one who spearheaded. I would have talked about his trial in and out, everything. I would have talked about I'm not going to go into full detail there, but I really would have like just thrown my own party under the bus for that, you know, because they humiliated him, shot themselves in their own foot doing it.
But I mean, part of the reason they were okay with putting him in there in the first place was the fact that he was willing to be humiliated, right? We keep mentioning this, but he went through 14 failed votes before he finally got in there. 14 over days. Like just imagine, like a speaker has not been elected again. Like, I mean, he was willing to sit there and deal with all of that beforehand. So of course, he's not going to do anything now. I mean, that's part of the reason why they was okay with doing him like they have been.
Does he even have any money? You know, because most congressmen have a lot of.
You talking about being humiliated? You said how many times they?
14 failed votes.
After 2 times, man, y'all can
kick rocks.
Yeah, man.
Ain't no way I wouldn't even sat there for one.
I would have took my family through that, man. Are you crazy?
Well, the 2 guys that lost to Obama, right? I'm sure that they were getting the business from the Republican Party, but at least Mitt had some money, you know.
Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. Now, Congress people make $175,000 just for being a representative.
On top of the insider trading, of course.
Of course. But
I think he'd have something to his name, hopefully, you know, because this is a real loss. You got to have some kind of mansion, something to go back to. Because, like, I mean, like I said, it's been colonial times since this guy lost like that. It's embarrassing. And he's so milquetoast, you know. He's real, like, kind of effete and weaselly.
Remind you of the Democrats, then, huh?
He reminds me of Gavin Newsom. He reminds me of Gavin Newsom, the way he's so effete.
I kind of like Gavin.
You know, Gavin Newsom he's got some balls and he's got some nuts. You know, I think he married or he got with Donald Trump Jr.'s ex-wife or ex-girlfriend. He's got a vineyard that he owns over there.
That's anything to brag about.
At least he
crossed over that bar. I mean, like, okay.
At least he's known for something.
Well, he speaks his mind. He goes out and speaks his mind. Is what I like.
You know? When the Democrats let him off the leash, at least, you know, he's going to do what they tell him. But you know, they call him Gruesome Gav over there. Gruesome Gavin Newsom. At least he's got something for his name as wimpy as he comes across. But McCarthy, what does he got? You know, what does he have at all?
He's ousted Speaker McCarthy. I don't see what the problem is.
Well, at least he's going on in the record books, huh?
Yeah. Somebody got to take the records. I mean, you know, that's why Trump was cool with getting indicted 2, 3, 4 times. Like he made it into the record books. I mean, at the end of the day, McCarthy's gonna go back to his house with his kids. Or he's gonna go back to being a regular representative, and he's gonna be fine. He may not, you know. You probably see him every now and then on the news cycle when they need something to talk about. But he's still making 100 and some odd thousand. Yeah. I mean,
he probably spent it like, I was trying to bring people together and all this.
That's exactly what he did. That's exactly what he did. You read him and you didn't even have to hear the speech. It was so dull and boring. All right. And imagine getting ousted by Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz of all people with that hydrocephalic head he's got and that press-on T-shirt face. A suspected sex offender. Imagine getting ousted by him.
This got to be a slap in the face.
Real sad.
It's just like you walking through the streets of what's the Game of Thrones talking about shame.
Oh man, I mean, but most politicians already. It's hard to find one that's willing to stand on what they believe in. Like that's a hard quality to find in a politician, right?
Well, they like most 3-point shooters. If you have a bad game and you miss 15 shots, you have a short memory, man. You know what I'm saying? You don't really think about,
right?
You know what I'm saying? Them bad losses. You know what I mean?
We're gonna remember this one, you know, especially since he didn't defend himself on the way out. He just took it. It was real sad.
Yeah, it was a sad sight. That's for sure. I mean, that's not even a question.
But you know what, AC, you've been watching, you recommended a show to us. It was 3%, was it?
Yeah, so it's a Netflix show called 3%. I'm not going to spoil it because it's got 4 seasons on Netflix. It has a super good storyline, but I'm just going to give the general synopsis as something to talk about today. It's set in a dystopian future where there's basically two sides. You've got the offshore, which is seen as this like heaven sent paradise type place, technologically advanced, this and that, and you got the slums. Okay, now part of the difference between the two is there's that imbalance of technology. The offshore has all this technology that can make people walk again from being paralyzed. They can make people see that couldn't see before. All types of stuff over on the offshore, but in the slums they've got basically the scraps. The meager stuff that they can find from the area that they're in. It was created by this founding couple. Essentially, the whole society is built on this premise that there's what's called let me back up. Yeah, it's built on this premise that only 3% can make it into the offshore, hence the title. When you're born, you're given a chip implant that has all your biographical data on it. Your name, your date of birth, all this and that. And that's how they are able to track these people throughout whatever situation they're in. All right, so yeah, everybody basically has one opportunity. When they turn 20, you go to this place called the Process Building. All the 20-year-olds go here, and they participate in what's known as the process. Basically, it's a series of tests that you have to go through, in order to basically make it to the offshore. Statistically, only 3% of the people make it through the process by going to the offshore. It consists of an interview. The first part is an interview. Then there's like several mental critical thinking style tests. So for example, one of the tests was you have to use Tetris shaped blocks, like the T shapes and the
I remember the cubes.
S shapes, yeah, stuff like that. Make 9 cubes, or you may have to walk through a dark tunnel that's filled with gas that makes you face your worst fears, stuff like that, or voting someone out of the group survivor style, stuff like that. Okay, so they go. The catch with this thing, the society, is all the people that are in the offshore has to be sterilized. They don't get to have kids. So you can stay in your slums, you can have as many children as you want there, but if you're making it to the offshore, you have to make it so you can't have kids anymore. Which I think speaks to a few different things. But the show also has this group. Resistance group called the Cause, and they're trying to basically hack the process, trying to get into it, and basically ruin the offshore for everyone to make it a level playing field, so to speak. So, based on that, do you see any potential links to our current world, and then in what way?
Of course, there's the classism and things like that. The distinction between it. You got the people who are there and the people who aren't. You can talk about the 1% as it is. There's the 3%ers that form a literal militia group by the same name in Georgia. It's very telling, and I think they take a lot of inspiration from real life. I think it's just like, since it's dystopian theme, it's pushed to its extreme. The show reminds me a lot of shows that I've seen. Like Squid Game, of course, like. Mm-hmm. I forgot the name.
Hunger Games, and
there was this one where they had to do an escape room, really, but it was just like an invitation. Elysium.
You talking about Truth or Dare?
Yeah, that one. You got Battle Royale. Mm-hmm. I believe I've said Elysium 3 times now. There's The 100, a show you used to watch, right? Mm-hmm. There's a lot of different ones where it's just like these people are dropped in here and they're made to do this and that. But I wonder what not the United States, but like the general viewing body's current obsession is with these like battle royale, only one can survive type things. It's just like it's not good. It really like it's kind of like tells, or it kind of plays into the whole rugged American individualist thing. It's like you gotta get it for you and yours only. You can't worry about other people. You gotta pull yourself up by your bootstraps and this and that.
And the funny thing is, this is even an American show. It was made in Brazil, mm-hmm. and that just goes to show you how pervasive that thought process is, right? Like, it's not just America that has that thought process. There's people in Brazil, UK, everywhere who's, individualistic mindset and all that stuff.
Yeah, there's a real turning away from collective action or collectivism as a whole, and I think that's where the power for the establishment body comes in there. You remember the scene when they were looking for a traitor? Mm-hmm. And she betrays the one girl, or how Raphael steals the one guy's blocks and he gets taken out. There's no good people there,
Because, at the end of the day, if you ain't part of the 3%, you heading back to them slums where you can't have, all that technology that you really would want, Mm-hmm. And the story only blossoms from there, very similar to in style to like the Hunger Games trilogy. It starts off with this Hunger Games, but then it branches out to the real world implications and the stuff that's going on around this game format, game setup.
So isn't that how libertarians think?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We're gonna, if you got the money to whatever to do this, try it. If it don't work, you're not gonna get bailed or this is gonna fail and you're gonna fall to the wayside.
Boy, if you don't make it, you don't make it type of thing.
Right, you don't make it.
Yeah, that's I don't want to like poop on anybody's beliefs or anything like that. That's all well and good, if that's a state you have to be in. But if you're in a place where you have the sum total of all human knowledge, but in this fictional sense, a place where you can cure blindness and make the quadriplegic able to walk, then don't you think that's regressive kind of animal thinking, Well,
it's that like you're alluding to, it's like that haves and have-nots, right? People need to have this thought process of, yes, I'm better than thou, forgetting the fact that they were in those same slums just however many years ago. Right. That's the crazy thing to me. It's like they look down on these people as if they've are lesser than when they were literally just there a few years ago.
You mean like when they were doing their interview and they were asking these guys all this and that and asking them these personal things?
And it's like, yeah, I get you want the best of the best, but at the same time, you're looking at these people like they're cretins, like they don't deserve to be on Earth.
Some of them, these guys aren't really the best. Some of these are real low down animals as it is.
Right, and that's why they likely have the process, right? There is some logic to it. Don't get me wrong. You don't want the drug dealing coke addict to be over on the offshore with all this technology. I get that, but at the same time, there's not 97% coke addicts and drug dealers. There's good people there that could have this technology and use it for good. But the people at the offshore don't want to lose all the power that they've gained, which is such a good allegory to what's going on in America.
That's life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you had mentioned something earlier, Cam, when you talked about regulating money and funds and stuff like that, government regulation, mm-hmm. and all that. Obama bailed out the banks.
And the airlines as well, didn't he?
Oh yeah,
well, Reagan did that too. No, he stopped the strikes with the airlines.
Ironic with him being in the Actors Guild and the Actors Union.
That is so much hypocrisy, man. Literally in your face. Huh?
It's just like the guys who get to the offshore. He got to the offshore. He didn't have to grind and grovel anymore. He didn't have to, play pretend John Wayne or try to. And he left those people behind. The same as the people that are judging the people there and leave behind. Same as the people that are on the process to getting there and willing to leave people behind. It's a real crab in the bucket type thing.
Oh yeah, one of the main characters that they follow is like his last name is Alvarez. All the people before him were able to make it through the process, make it to the offshore, real. I don't know, what's the word for it? Like similar to how rich people have their kids go to the same colleges. This, not the third. Same thing. Everybody's made it through the process. This and that. I'm an Alvarez. Like this kind of type.
You mean Marco?
Yeah, Marco. Yeah, couldn't think of his name, but and seeing him go, I'm trying not to do spoilers, sorry, but like seeing him go through that process and where he ends up after it, it's just some just some of the funniest parts of the movie. I mean, or of the show rather, to me. Like seeing somebody that cocky or biased get shown what he just deserves.
Well, he and Joanna were so aloof, and kind of cocky, and then that one guy who was confident, who had a little charisma and was just impassioned about his family when they brought it up. Mm-hmm. He ends up getting put out. I think it's like you can only pretend for so long. I guess I don't know what happened, of course, so I can't really spoil it or say things like that. But I can see that they did favor more just the unfavorable traits. When the guy tried to tell on for Raphael for stealing his block, they didn't care.
Did nothing about it. And that's where you really see. At the end of the day, they don't have enough time, or they've determined they don't care about people cheating. They don't like. You see him stealing the block. You see later on a chick named Joanna. They agree in the voting game. They all agree to vote her out. And the way you show that you're still a part of the game is by having a coin. There's like one less coin than everybody has, similar to musical chairs, right? Well, she stole a coin as the negotiations were going on, and they determined, oh yeah, we're gonna vote you out, yada yada yada. She was with the last guy, and then she walked out and dropped a coin, and they let her through because she had a coin, he didn't have one. He was pissed, trying to fight to get out, but at the end of the day, they didn't care at all about the rule set. They just said, or not didn't care at all. They were willing to have the rules be bent for them to make it as far as they could.
It rewards the bad. It makes you wonder, why don't they just like somebody just bring a knife, and in between times just like kill your partners or something like that, cold the herd a little bit.
Isn't that like Machiavellian thinking? You know what I'm saying?
The old poet, I don't know him.
I don't know Machiavellian.
I mean,
I know the Tupac version.
It is, but I mean, in this situation, I don't think killing other competitors would necessarily help you, because you still have to make it through the test regardless. Yes, you lower the amount of people you have to compete against, but again, it's still going to be it's not like last person standing exactly. You know what I mean? Like, you still have a 3% that you're eventually going to have to go to the offshore with and be cool with after all is said and done. I don't see the value of necessarily going in and going Rambo and killing everybody. I see the value in sabotaging people and like cheating and doing whatever you can to win. I see the value in that.
Yeah,
but I don't see necessarily the value in killing people in this situation. In most battle royale games, you want to where it's only one person that can survive. You do everything in your power, including killing people. But in this situation, because you eventually have to work with these people, with some of these people afterwards, I don't see the benefit in in killing them.
It just seems to me that human life is only worth the value you ascribe to it. If you want to win, you're going to be like Joanna, and you're going to steal. If you want to survive the "I'm a traitor" thing, even though you actually are a mole, whether you are or not, you're going to trick the other person into getting shot, and going through. It seems like people are out for themselves, and that the offshore is full of sociopaths. So why, I don't see why you would be so opposed to it. If you you can walk through it without getting messed up, it worked for you. It's like a novel I read recently, or a little while ago, called The Long Walk by Stephen King, and it's basically all these young guys have to walk, I believe, from where is he from? Like Rhode Island, something like that. Basically, the northeast. Yeah, from Maine all the way down into, like, I believe the middle of the country, or down to Florida, something like that. They have to walk, and they have to like somehow stay awake or walk while asleep, and not stop, because if they stop, there's a tank behind them with military officers that will shoot them. So they get a couple of supplies and this and that to go do it. But as they're going along, the walk only lasts as long as the guys can keep going, But I almost spoil the book. There's no friends in those situations, especially since like you have no real means of fighting back against the establishment, because you've already signed up for what they had brought for you. There's no rebellion, or in this case there was, but nobody's going in for the cause. They're not rallying themselves, because if there's only 3% of people that are making it through, how much power do they have to be able to stop all these guys from coming through? And if people just decide that they're going to stop, eventually everyone on the island's going to die.
Right, and
they can't reproduce.
You can reproduce on the island, or not on the offshore, but in the slums you can reproduce as much as you want, and that's how they're trying to generate support for it, because obviously you have those people who view it almost like a religion, like, oh, we have to trust the process. If you're not meant to make it through the process, then that's just what it is, and you have to accept that. And there's the cause is like, no, the system is messed up. We need to do something about it.
Right. So it's either, in my opinion, it's either you go all in, right, and commit to try to win.
Right.
Because these guys clearly aren't your friends. Only one person can survive the long walk. Only 3% of people are going to make it through, regardless if you want to be buddies with them when you're over there or not. Only some people are going to make it through. So it's either you commit there, or you nut up, you grow a pair, and you decide you're going to join the cause, or you get some collective action going, and you fight back against what these people are doing there, because they need you. If they don't have people there to keep the island going, to brainwash into thinking that they're above the others, and there's nothing there for them. That's why I think we see a lot of collective action going on around here now. Healthcare strikes, service industry strikes.
Yeah, so, I mean, do you think y'all would make it through, knowing it's like this critical thinking, mental agility type test? I mean, there's some physicality to it, but it's mostly, your mental prowess, mental fitness, able to think critically. I mean, do you think y'all would make it through if you had to?
I feel like we come from a place where we have choice. You have ability to do things. I think I think I would try to join the cause. Because you see in the trial, people end up getting hurt and things like that. Mm-hmm. They end up getting killed. I wouldn't if I won't. Excuse me. If I won't go in a haunted house now, I want to put myself in that position. I'm for sure not gonna just allow these people that already think that I'm like less than a human to do whatever they want with me. So I would try to carve that chip out of my head and try to join the cause, try to get people to rally behind it.
Well, that funny you mentioned that, because I'll give one spoiler, because I mean it's integral to this conversation. We find out that Raphael, this isn't his first time doing the process. He was kicked out, and then he's going under the name Raphael now. That's what he's having everybody call him, because he's a part of the cause trying to break into, the offshore. So, I mean, there is, a definite effort that they're trying to do, but they're failing to get everyone else on board with the thought process. Well, part of it, too, is the fact that the establishment or the offshore is actively looking into these people, and if they find out you're part of a cause, they're killing you dead and getting you out of here. So it's like, you have to do this underground operation, deep down. Hopefully nobody rats you out, and figure out who you can trust and this and that. So, I mean, me personally, I think I would definitely join the cause, but I would try to go through the process similar to what Raphael and the other character is doing, to try to even the playing field, this, that, and the third. And then if you don't make it through, then all you can do is keep trying to rally people around you. But what do you think? Would you make it through?
Yeah, because as far as surviving as a black man, there are certain things you have to do to make sure that your family make it. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And survive. So what I want is to get over to the other side where everything is happening, where we can live and in some type of comfort. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And build a legacy or whatever. But I don't know. I'll probably have to establish another type of area or whatever, because I'm all about reproducing and leaving a legacy. You know what I'm saying?
And that's the most interesting part about the offshore to me, is the fact that you can't have kids once you go over there. So it's like they almost incentivize you to reproduce while you're there in the slums, and then you go off and leave your kid and hopefully make it through the process. Otherwise, you have to raise them.
Even though they don't have limited resources over there? They do?
I mean, are you saying, wait, clarify your question for me.
What I mean by over there where you can't have kids.
Yeah.
They have limited resources.
No, the unlimited. That's
Okay.
So the offshore is the place where you have all the technology, this and that, but you can't have kids there.
Right, so that's a mandate that you can't have kids.
Yeah, like you see it at the end of the season 1 when the people finally make it through. your last test, in quotation marks, is you go up as part of the ceremony. They shoot you with this gun that removes your ability to have kids, and then you can go to the offshore. If you don't go through the injection, you don't get to go to offshore. So you will have gotten through all of that just to turn around at the last minute and say, well, I still want to have kids. Well,
is it like a really turbulent ocean or something? Is there some reason why they can't like get a boat together? Are there no guns in the slums?
Well, I mean, it's real rudimentary technology. They definitely don't have guns in that. They would have to. I don't see. It is a good question why they haven't built some type of boat to get there. It does look like a decently long distance just from the map of it. It might be the issue of, again, that overarching offshore capabilities that's seeing that you do this and then is like, oh, we're gonna off you now, don't even think about it,
Would they be able to catch Raphael? Then I think, like, wouldn't they, like, because humans are meant to overcome nature and survive, things like that. That's why we have the things that we have. That's why like lions are afraid of humans. Why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't they like develop some kind of ninjas or something? They give people knives or something and carry out raids or infiltrate.
Well, I mean that the offshore does do that if it's threatened enough. You see that in the show as well. Like I said, the offshore is far superior to the slums in terms of technology, military activation, like everything. Like the slums are quite literally the slums. Like
there's no gangs.
I mean, there's gangs, but I mean they ain't doing nothing. All they're doing is terrorizing the people around them. They ain't doing nothing to try to stop the situations going or the process in that.
I always think that nothing's too big to fail. I think if you organize the militia in the slums, where sticks and stones are not, if it's just muscle and bone over there and technology, you can find some way to destroy or kill them. And an electromagnetic pulse, some kind of scraps of metal, you might have to sacrifice people with time to try to get to it, But I think you could piece together some means of attacking the offshore. Well, if they do raid the slums, you could try to get one of their soldiers and kill them.
Well, that's what the cause's whole sole goal is, to do that electromagnetic pulse to basically render their technology useless. Then it brings it back to everybody's on a level playing field, essentially.
But you'd be hard pressed to get anybody on the offshore to agree to rebel. Right?
Exactly. That's why you have to go through the process. You have to participate in, which is kind of interesting when you think about it. You have to participate in this messed up process in order to get there to enact the ideals that you have. Kind of almost similar to government, right? Like having to participate in this governmental structure and hierarchy that's disadvantaged towards non-white, non-males. You know what I mean? Like it's interesting to allow yourself or to allow you to fight for the things that you care about.
Also, how come the old man is one of the only people we see training all these people to do this? Aren't they? If they go back to the slum, don't they know what happened up there?
Yeah.
Why aren't they maps of what's there? I saw a maintenance door over here.
Well,
Jonas got this far and saw what was in there. We know there's some servers in there or something. Steal some sheet metal. How come there's nobody's really making an effort here? Is it like a maze? Is it like Maze Runner where they're changing it every time you go through?
Well, the tests in themselves change. The building is pretty much the same. The layout of the building, this, that, and third. But the tests they actually have to do can vary widely. It's not just the same tests over and over and over. Which is part of the reason why they try to give a wide variety of training material. The only reason he's mainly the only one doing it is because he's turned it into this religion, right? Like you've seen as almost this pastor figure who's like, no, we have to believe in the process. You're going to make it. Everything's going to be great. And that he's probably, I wouldn't even be surprised to find out that he was being paid by the offshore people to perpetuate this process.
Yeah, like Larry Elder and what's the other guy's name?
I don't remember.
Like Larry Elder and those type of people.
Yeah,
it's the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
You made it, and why go back to the slums and all this stuff?
Mm-hmm. I can dig it. It's just I think an island, technologically advanced or not, as an island, they got to have food. If you have an entire the slum, I imagine it's just like the rest of the planet, and it's large enough to sustain this large population. If only 3% can go on to the do they have infinite resource, infinite food, and things like that?
Not obviously not 100% infinite, but the vast majority of the food, the vast majority of the technology and resources, all that is over there. So they are way, like I said, they're way above. I don't want to say above, but they have a much bigger advantage than the people in the slums. That's not to say that the slums don't have anything, but they have to fight for the people around them for anything, any scraps, food, whatever, But like I said, it's definitely an interesting watch. It's got 4 seasons on Netflix. I mean, it's as long as you're okay with doing English dub or doing English subtitles, because it is a Brazilian show, which is interesting as well. It's definitely a good watch for sure.
All right. So Heat, I understand you had gone on a trip down memory lane. You've been watching a couple of episodes of the Flintstones, a little Looney Tunes here and there, and you found something that stood out to you, something pretty, I want to say provocative.
Yeah, I was watching the Flintstones one day, and I was looking at this particular show, and I was thinking to myself, these are the shows that we watched. It was actually an adult cartoon.
An adult party cartoon? Like Ren and Stimpy?
But it was never, pitched like that. There was no... I don't even remember having to have like PG or no type of ratings behind it. It was just, set out as like, a regular cartoon. So I was watching it, and I watched this particular one show called The Prowler, where this guy was going through robbing everybody and all this stuff, right? So the Rebels and the Flintstones went to a judo instructor to try to protect themselves at home. And the racist tropes and all the different things that was happening. At the time, I didn't really think about it as a child because it was such a normalized thing. Mm-hmm. And my point is that just think about all those shows back then, up to the point where people start censoring these type of things. All these thought processes that went out, that the stereotypes and all that stuff that was taught to kids through generation to generation, mm-hmm. where they saw that these type of things was happening. I mean, they did the whole slit eyes, teeth, the height. I mean, you can look at the instructor, and his height was like half.
Oh, wow.
Of the Flintstones and stuff like that, and it was just like racist all the way through, and how they talked to each other. You know what I'm saying? The things he was saying, and I was just I was just thinking to myself, how many shows have I watched growing up that put out these type of stereotypes that got so ingrained in us, we started thinking of each other that same way.
Well, I mean,
you know what I'm saying?
Okay. I mean, you look at, the more shows you look at, especially from that time, you realize how pervasive those thought processes were, right? Like, it's in the Flintstones, it's in Disney movies, like, it's crazy. Right. Some of the stuff that was just commonplace at the time, that's why just about every movie is a snapshot of what the current time reflects,
right.
Because, I mean, suffice it to say, if you were non-white, I mean, they made you look terrible. I mean, right. Whether it be Asian, black, it didn't matter. It's a really interesting. It would be a really interesting thing to study, to see like all the examples of those stereotypes and that kind of thing, to see it in media. But Cam, I know you have a degree in communication, so I know you have thoughts on this.
Oh yeah, I learned through mass communication or the like main or like integrated marketing communications, marketing in general, there's no real such thing as subliminal messages because people don't have the capacity to process that alongside what they're looking at. They'll just forget it immediately. So that stuff there is just very telling of the time period. There's nothing hidden within it. There's nothing subliminal. It's just a lot of people believe that, and a lot of people probably laughed at it. I think you see those kind of you saw it a little closer to the modern era as well with Apu and The Simpsons and all of South Park,
Family Guy,
even Cletus and The Simpsons. They make fun of pretty much anyone who doesn't meet the norm of white. Cletus is a poor white man, and he grows tobacco plants. They call his children brood. It's just. Yeah, sorry about that. They call his children brood. I think it's a reflection of the current state of society. Like I said in the previous episode, our material and non-material cultures are dictated by the society that governs them. That's why Captain America 1 minute was fighting Adolf Hitler himself, seriously, alongside Namor. And the next he's fighting the Red Skull because you can't have Nazi symbols and things like that, as much as some people would love to see it. Hydra is basically just the Nazi party.
Right.
It's just, like I said, it just amazed me how all these things can become ingrained in your mind without you even really knowing it. You said there's no such thing as
Say again?
You said there's no such thing as
subliminal
messages and stuff like that, but I don't know. I might push back on that a little bit, man, because you think about when I was coming of age and I was in college and it was Public Enemy. You know what I'm saying? And every black man I saw would yell to another one and, show up love, respect, and all those stuff and say, hey man, did you get the last Public Enemy album or whatever? It was that type of connection, Queen Latifah, all that. And then it suddenly changed.
Well, there's always rhetoric to frame media. That's why you have Carlson and less words saying the 14 words, basically talking about white replacement because you can't really say it out loud there, But there's no words that flash on a screen when you're looking at an ad because you're not gonna actually pay attention to it. Of course, there are people who will use rhetoric in their words or sayings as a means of manipulating the public or people that are watching. Yeah.
So how bad is the definition of woke?
Woke is a thing that people said in 2016. It was basically like a thing that young people or the left was saying in 2016. And it was a word that was stretched and bastardized by losers on the right. Same as cancel culture or how they ended up changing.
Liberalism became a bad word.
A word will be one thing. It might be trendy for a while, and then people who talk for a living, who need to keep their base afraid and whipped up, will turn the word into something entirely different. Ben Shapiro did a whole thing about woke. And that's not even it's not even really a word. It's internet slang and lingo. That's why it's so frustrating. Is they make it this whole thing, the liberal woke agenda and all this and that. What are you talking about? It's like something that was trending on Twitter for a little while that you wrote a book about because you couldn't get on the network television or whatever it was. You effectively have no real no talking points. There's a history of the right stealing things from the left. Punk rock wasn't always Anselmo, the lead singer of Pantera. It wasn't always white supremacist skinheads and things like that. It was very anti-establishment. It used to be against the status quo. There's a song called "American Jesus" where they go after the American religious bodies and the American state as it is. Punk wasn't always in no way was is tattooed knuckle brother bald scalp BS that it is now. It's just they see something trendy, they see something good going, and they'll take it as a means of pushing their message. That's why you get all lives matter out of Black Lives Matter, and then you get Blue Lives Matter. It's a whole bunch of weenie, just lame offshoots.
Well, I mean, isn't that what capitalism wants? Right, the system of capitalism, turning everything into money.
I mean, commoditization,
yeah,
like that. Yeah, it's just I think it's. But to go back to the Flintstones thing, I think it is reflective of society around them. Of course, there is a market for it if you make it. There's people that are going to want to glob onto those things. There's people that'll support the Proud Boys one day and then listen to the new NBA YoungBoy track on the ride in their F-150 on the ride to work the next. It's just cheap, in my opinion. It's lame, And this doesn't even talk about like how the culture, how the art imitates life. Life imitates the art. How we're talking about there. It's just the way that a term as benign as meaningless as woke or BLM, something like that, could be bastardized and turned into something so lame is very telling of the other half of it that's like taking control of it and their inability to cultivate any culture outside of it.
Well, I was just wondering if that type of thing was still happening. Like I said, I saw it and watched it as a normal thing, and
well, I mean,
was I being influenced by it? Me and other people who grew up watching those type of things, which actually turned into a kid's cartoon also. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Isn't that normalizing it also? It went from this adult cartoon that we watch to this kid with little Bam Bam and Pebbles. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
With the cereal and all that.
It made it more socially acceptable, of course, but I think it didn't stay that way. Like I said, the culture is dictated by the society that governs it. And I think as people moved on to more progressive things, people moved on to more inclusive things. There's a lot of people moving on. Yeah, you saw it with the YouTube adpocalypse through the Gamergate era, or the Disney moving themselves away from some of the loony policies of DeSantis and things like that don't say gay bill and things like that, because they understand that minorities or other people other than the white people that they appeal to begin with have money.
But don't you think I think this is getting to your point too, but I'm almost certain that Disney has positioned itself in the way it is specifically because they see that unlimited market cap potential. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, they see the benefits of, appealing to, the left ideals of, wanting everybody to be equally represented, this, that, and the third.
Yeah, it was just interesting to me.
Yeah.
I think there's I agree with that. Yeah, they see that there's money in it. They see that they understand that members of the LGBTQ community have money. That's why every Pride Month they roll out the rainbows, and the next day when it's over with, is gone. I think we saw some serious pushback with the Bud Light thing, but they didn't even run Mulvaney any money. They just put their face on some cans, and they threw a whole temper tantrum about it. And they're serious about that. They don't drink Bud Light or anything like that, And I think that's just like a sad clinging on to the past, or an inability to move on from things. That's why you see when they try to push crazed wedge issues like trans stuff like that in the open body and the open politics and establishment, things like that, they end up losing. Mm-hmm. All right. Wrap things up, Heat. I understand you've been following the Lions for a while now. They've been having a good season.
Yes, sir. For the first time in my life, I am actually inspired about how they play. These guys are 3-1. They're at the top of the NFC North. When I listen to analysts on TV and stuff like that, they talk about how the Lions are at least in the NFC conference. They are at least in 4th place, which means that that's playoff. They have playoff aspirations. They can possibly make it to the Super Bowl, but for now that's a stretch. I have to watch some more games, but I've never been this excited because it's a true team. I can actually look and say, okay, these guys are on the same par as whatever, and it's not a wish or hope. It's actual work, and it's a reflection of the coach Dan Campbell. Hell of a man. I would have played for him, and I didn't play football.
And they said he changed the culture when he was up there. He gave them a new lease on life. Because Goff, he came from somewhere else, didn't he? Can you tell me a little bit about him?
Goff came from he was the first round draft, the first guy who picked out of the draft, quarterback for the LA Rams. Actually took them to the Super Bowl. He lost, but as soon as he lost, I think he had like one mediocre season, and then they threw him through the scrap heap. That's how Detroit got him, and our quarterback went out to L.A. and won a title. But the one thing, I mean, sports is so unforgiving. If you take your team as the main guy, quarterback, to the Super Bowl, you did something.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You know what that experience is like, and that's what I'm seeing within golf right now. This guy knows how to win, but he's still not. I think they moved him up in the top 5 quarterbacks in the league, but there's a lot of other people saying they're skeptical. No, that's not him. You know, is he really that answer for Detroit? Whatever. They won 11 out of the last 13 games since last season. You know,
And
that means something.
no, it absolutely does. I'm not even gonna, hide my bias. I haven't supported the Lions since they went 0-16. I ain't gonna hold you up. It was sad. I just couldn't support them after that. But that's not to say that I wouldn't like to see them, make it to the Super Bowl and actually win, break the curse that they've had for God knows how long, 70-some years. I think part of the skepticism is just based on the fact that how many times fans said, "Oh, this is their year. This is their year. This is their year."
I feel like I haven't seen that. I've seen a lot more people who were fans, like you were, for a minute. They end up like either leaving it, or they keep saying, "Oh yeah, they're gonna do this or that," and they end up losing faith. But the fact of the matter is, it's not as if like the players don't have it within their abilities to compete. It's like who was running it. I think they were content with making the little money they were getting here and there, and they didn't like really put in the effort towards getting them where they needed to be. But since they got this new head coach, now that the owner is this new lady who was like an athlete, wasn't she? She was a
Sheila Ford. Well, not Ford, but I forgot the woman's last name. But she's related to the Fords,
It's part of the Ford family, Now that you got some people who actually care about seeing the team go somewhere, you got a GM that's making good picks and bringing in good players. You have local sons in Hutchinson, who's passionate about getting these wins, and you have people like Heat, who's been watching for a while, who are willing to travel all the way to Green Bay just to see them play this game. They're on the enemy territory. I think there's a real resurgence there. It's easy to say like, they're going to be like, they'll get a couple of good ones in. Them beating Mahomes is a fluke, but you have to bear in mind the statistics and what you're working with here. Hutchinson, he left Michigan as number 2 in the state in the country.
He was the second to be drafted.
Right, and then the new head coach played for the team. He knows their faults. He knows what's wrong there. He knows how to bring them back together. We're getting we're bringing in new players who can actually do something for us. Our halfback Montgomery, he's got a lot of
It's a bad boy.
He's gotten a lot of yards for us there. You got a good team constitution. You got I believe was it the wide receiver or something like that who's worked with Goff before.
Reynolds came from LA with.
You got the freshman and then I don't know. His name starts with a P. Who's that one wide receiver? It's not Porter. It's Poe size. In any case, he's newer, but you can tell that he's good, right? We have good receivers. We have a defense.
I know you're talking about. There's a lot of good young players. Detroit is a young team.
Okay, they're doing as well as they are now, and they have some room to improve. They did better than they did last year. They know how to finish now. They're not taking risks. You saw when they had they were up in points there. They went for the field goal instead of trying to run it in. Back when they were playing against Green Bay, they're making good decisions. I think the only thing that we got to worry about is I see them gassing out. They're so hype at the start. They are so ready to prove themselves. And midway through, they're losing a little bit of energy. But I think that's where we see the tacticians on the offensive and defensive side come through to help them. We have Hutchinson as our star player on defense. You got Bugs. He's proved himself and improved
Isaiah
a lot.
Bugs. Yeah, it's a lot of guys, man. There's a lot of guys.
He got a sack, didn't he? He sacked.
We got in the last 2 games. We got 12 sacks in the last 2 games. So. That means something. That's a good start or something,
I think
first game we ain't have no sacks.
I hope that the Panthers don't play spoiler and try to take Detroit's spot. Detroit's been putting in good work. I think a good win for Detroit like they were saying on the show that Detroit has the potential to take the Ravens spot. You know, I think that Goff could probably outplay Jackson, but I think the Bills would be a good W to take.
Bills is fugazi, man. They not. I'm saying they've been talking about the Bills winning the Super Bowl for the last 4 years, man.
The Bills are what?
Fugazi, they fake, man. They not. Ain't that the right word?
I don't know. You know, that's a word I've never heard before.
I've never heard that word.
Honestly, you know, the Bills, they might just be having an uptime right now. If we could beat the Bills, you know.
Bills, you know what? The last time Detroit played with the Bills, they almost beat them. It was I think it was a last kick. And they won by a field goal.
So imagine they get rid of them. You know, it might be a pipe dream. It might not be a possibility of happening. But imagine if they were able to get rid of the 49ers, you know. It'd be...
No, that's a test. It
would take people away from it being like, oh, it's a fluke. It's just a thing that's happening right now, and actually get them the respect that they deserve. Because I think Lamar Jackson, he's a good challenge, but if they beat him, they're still not going to give him the respect that they want.
They're gonna beat them.
He's coming off an injury, isn't he?
No, from last year he didn't play because of injury, but I think they're like 3-1 also, but they're not clicking on all cylinders. You know what I'm saying? Detroit is going to beat them. It's not going to be a problem.
And now clarify this for me. So how does a wild card team get selected for the
wild card comes into play when you don't win the conference.
Okay.
You don't win the division, so you have to come in and play into the tournament.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? That's how that goes.
Because I've heard people say that the Lions would be a good wild card candidates in the past, but I guess they weren't good enough to make it in. But
they played Dallas a while ago.
Yeah.
And it was a pass interference, but because they were Detroit, they didn't get the call. You know? And that's the thing. That's the thing that we have to. That's the thing that most of us as fans have to overcome, because we see them get cheated so much, we just don't care anymore. You know. Whereas if you're looking and you see them. You can say that they're trending, but they're there. They're there. They just have to fill in those missing pieces, you know, to fill in the gaps. And watch and see. They're gonna win at least 12 games.
You know, I think there's a difference between Colorado and Detroit. You know, there's a lot of hype there, and people are ascribing a lot of like the success and things to the hype. It's just like they're doing with Sanders. But I think Detroit has been there. They put in the work. You know, they've taken the losses. They're not freshmen in the game. They've been playing for a long time now. You know, and I think if we could pick up the wins that I'm talking about, if we just walk through the Panthers, you know, and hold on to their position, and then maybe, you know, get rid of the Ravens, it would really like establish a lot more respect for them. A dream for me would be if they did get the Bills. You know, they got some sacks in there and outplayed them. That would be pretty good. And then we could talk. Playoffs. We could talk Super Bowl and things like that. But for now, I think we need to get more people to respect them.
Well, you know, I'll tell you like this: they can stay exactly where they are. You know what I'm saying? Because when the tide turns, when they start seeing, because like I said, the first 7 games they were 1-6. After that, they lost a couple of games in. They were out of 13 games from last year up to this point. They won 11 games.
Yeah, and that definitely isn't an easy task for sure.
Not in the National Football League, then.
Yeah,
you know. So, yeah.
I mean, and don't get me wrong. I would be happy to eat my words to see them, you know, make it far and win a whole lot of games. I just got to see it.
Somebody like you would be like, okay, I see you. Whereas other people talking about, man, I knew they could do it, but I couldn't get on the bandwagon. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's just like me with Colorado. Deion, man, is a different type of guy. He brash, he in your face, and he gonna do what he tell you he gonna do to you. You know. And my thing is, okay, let's stay behind the scenes. But he is not a behind the scenes guy. And he up in your face with it, and he telling you what he finna do. You know, and for me in the beginning, since they played USC as tight as they did, I'm comfortable now. Because it was 45 to 41, and they were getting blowed out. So I was like, now they actually got a team. You know, we can build momentum from here. You know what I'm saying? Now I can be that fan and be like, okay, you know, I'm okay with being out there out in front with you. You know what I'm saying? But in the beginning, I'm like, man, this I'm saying? Get them wins where they ain't expecting nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But he ain't that type of guy. That's why who he is. You know.
I think you gotta have a good battle plan or a good. Like, is he trying to mind game his opponents or something like that? 'Cause I think you have to have a good plan before you make those kinds of claims.
What he finna do. You know what I'm saying? And if you're better than him, like he said, get me now, because it ain't gonna happen ever again in the future. That's how he think. You know. I just want him to, don't say let's go in there and steal a couple of games, man. You ain't gonna talk. And once you become 8-2, talk all the shit you want, then.
You gotta put up the numbers. I mean, gotta put up the numbers. I mean,
but he gonna take on Coach Prime. Gonna take on every challenge, every game, and that's just how he built.
Well, in any case, I hope the Panthers do. Not the Panthers. I hope Detroit does beat the Panthers. We're able to see the train keep going. And from there, we can see improvement continue on. But that being said, we have been going on for quite a while now. This is our 4th episode in now. I think we have a good roll going here now. What do you guys think?
Oh yeah, I think things are going well. I think at the end of the day, right now, it's really getting feedback from everybody. Seeing what our fans think. This should be the next episode should be the first one where we're starting to answer those questions, address comments, that kind of thing.
So yeah, if you have questions or any kind of comments or anything that we say, we implore you put it in the chat room. Tell us how you're feeling, and we'll be sure to try to get to them. With that being said, this has been Cam, Heat, and Ace. We want to thank you guys for joining us on 36. You have a good night.